Anti-trans grifter Oli London appeared on a recent episode of the H3 podcast, and to say that it didn't go well for him would be quite the understatement, because he was utterly buried in one of the best takedowns I've seen since Sam Cedar versus Jimmy Dore back in 2016, and I don't think that that's hyperbole. And for those of you who don't know, Ethan Klein is the host, so he very clearly did his research, and he tried to disarm Oli London, so he kind of felt more comfortable sharing his most egregious takes. So it started out very polite, very formal, and Ethan allowed Oli to share his overall thesis, which is basically that the kids are being transed because they're being indoctrinated by adults. It's the same thing that you hear. He's not making an innovative argument. But as he begins to speak more and more, Ethan Klein dismantles every single point that he makes. And there's a couple of traps that Ethan Klein sets for Oli, and he walks right into them. Now, before I share any clips with you, I've got a couple here. I do want to encourage you to watch the entirety of the debate. It's about 2 hours long. And I'd also say stay for the after part. Once Oli left, they continued to dismantle him and respond to Oli as he was rage tweeting about his appearance. It was just all around amazing. But without further ado, here's probably the most humiliating moment for Oli London, because they set him up by getting him to denounce groomers and any trans merchandise appealing to children. But they dish you, Oli. We'll put it that way. And it did not go well. You could tell that he was ambushed, didn't know how to react.
Actually, since you bring it up, I have seen something troubling from a trans person that I thought was kind of gross. They were selling, it was like a kid's t-shirt with a trans person on it, and then they had like kids' toys with trans people on it, and it was kind of gross and groomy. Have you seen anything like that before?
You know, I've seen T-shirts that the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota wore, protect trans kids, with a knife on it. You know, things like that. I've seen T-shirts that says protect trans rights with AK-47s on it and stuff. And, you know, I don't think that's helpful messaging for, and that's just trans activists, by the way, Ethan. This is a small number of people, and that's who I'm calling out. That's who Gays Against Groomers are calling out. It's not the trans community as a whole. Specific trans activists who have highlighted, have hijacked the trans movement.
So actually, you know what's interesting, Oli? If you go to your website right now, your merch website, I was actually talking about your merch. You are actually selling kids' lunchboxes with a picture of you depicted as a trans woman. And you're selling it.
No, that's not as a trans woman. That's not as a trans woman. That's just a K-pop picture of me.
Okay, because this is you. I had a feeling you would say that, because here it is, you wearing that design, and it's pretty obvious to tell that this is depicting you. This is from just like a month ago, and this is when you were trans.
Wearing my merch.
Yeah. So do you think it's appropriate to sell this to kids?
Well, it's a lunchbox with a picture of a K-pop cartoon.
Well, it's you as a trans. It's you as a trans woman.
It's me as a K-pop star. It's nothing to do with being trans or not. That's just a cartoon of me as a K-pop star. So it's not. But that's not inappropriate.
Right, but at the time you were a trans woman.
Correct. At the time I was a trans woman, but there's nothing inappropriate.
So it's you as a trans woman.
That I was a trans woman at the time. That picture does not depict me as a trans woman. It depicts me as a K-pop star. But
I find that interesting that you're willing to make that separation when you're making such general claims about groomers and stuff, because to me, by your own definition, this is pretty groomy. And even if you go, and this is all, well, hold on, Oli, hold on one sec. Even if you go on your website right now, you're selling the same graphic, Oli London, Oli Merch Squad, as you depicted as a trans woman. And if you look at the available sizes, it's just kids, 3 to 4. Do you think it's appropriate for a 3 to 4-year-old to buy this shirt?
Yeah, of course. Any K-pop fan, if they want to buy my merch, they're absolutely entitled to. There's nothing inappropriate with that merch at all. It's
that is a trans woman, Oli. You're not understanding your own logic.
You're clutching at straws.
How am I? Okay, hold on. Let's follow this through. You were a trans woman when you made this. There's a picture of you wearing it. It's obviously you as a trans woman. Here's you as a trans woman, and here's you as a trans woman on the shirt, on a kid's shirt. How am I clutching at straws?
Well, you're clutching at straws. It's an innocent cartoon. It doesn't say anything about indoctrinating
children. The tongue is somewhat sexual.
How
the tongue is out like that. It's a little disturbing.
Ethan, come on. I'm doing a K-pop pose. You're just clutching at straws.
No, why is the tongue out? I find that a little provocative.
That was incredible. they're grooming kids, but I'm not grooming kids because I'm being depicted as a K-pop star, not a trans woman. But Oli, you're not a K-pop star. You were, however, a trans woman, and that merch was directly marketed to kids. But by his own definition, that doesn't make him a groomer, but LGBTQ plus people who sell like rainbow merchandise to children or drag queens who read to children, that's grooming, but your merch, that's not grooming. Unbelievable. Now, that lunchbox comes up again and again and again if you watch the full interview, and as you're going to see, Oli gets increasingly defensive, doesn't know how to respond, and whenever he tries to bring up this indoctrination or grooming, Ethan throws that in his face. It was just truly incredible to watch because he had no way of responding to it. And it gets even better. But I want to move on from the lunchbox thing because there is more here that was really, really good. So Oli London, presumably, he hasn't been on many shows where his talking points were challenged, but they were in this clip. And Oli ended up doing a complete 180, and it was just incredible to watch. So basically, he cites a study. Ethan pulls up the study on the spot, shows him how he's misrepresenting the findings of the study. And then Oli London subsequently claims that he doesn't actually trust studies when Ethan cites a study that Oli London doesn't like, that doesn't suit his narrative. And the way that Ethan throws that in his face is very masterful. So let's watch.
There's a lot of studies. There was a study in Finland by the top transgender clinic that was basically transitioning a lot of kids. And they said around 45% of the kids had experienced severe bullying. So that led to their gender dysphoria.
Let's see here. I have that theory you're citing in front of me.
Tampere University, Finland, yeah.
Here it is. Let's read the conclusion. Here, there's the abstract and everything. Let's see. The conclusion says gender identity, especially non-binary identity, is associated with both being bullied and perpetrating bullying, even when a range of variables, including internal stress and involvement in bullying and the opposite role, are taken into account. This suggests that bullying during adolescence may serve as a mechanism of maintaining heteronormality, which I think what that means is that the bullying actually results in people rejecting their transness in favor of heteronormality. I think so it seems to be saying the opposite actually of what you've claimed it said.
You don't hear the cases of the detransitions.
Are you aware, Oli, that 99% of kids that transition do not regret it?
No, I don't support that statistic. I think it's wrong because these clinics...
From what authority do you disprove that statistic?
Well, look, these clinics make these studies. They don't even do follow-up studies. There's an example of a...
Do you not trust studies? Because you just told me to read one.
I don't trust studies.
Why?
Even if you're saying it's
27 studies. Then why did you tell me to read this one, Oli? You use studies when it's convenient for you, but you don't when it goes against your thesis. I don't understand your consistency with studies. Do we like them or no?
Ethan Klein. Debate, bro. It's official. That was remarkable. And that really was just a microcosm of the entire interview because Oli London would make a claim and then Ethan Klein would debunk it with facts and logic, oftentimes on the spot, and Oli just had no room to obfuscate. See, the thing about these anti-trans grifters is that they try to gish gallop and throw a bunch of shit against the wall to see what sticks, but Ethan Klein would stop him, fact check him, or just tell him on the spot, I know what study you're referencing, I know what news article you're referencing, that's bullshit, here's why. And Oli London couldn't get any of his talking points to stick because Ethan Klein was on him. It was incredible. So one thing that Ethan tried to do that he wasn't successful at, because Oli London is at least savvy enough to give himself some plausible deniability, is Ethan tried to pin him down on admitting that banning gender affirming care for minors can be a death sentence because it leads to increased suicidal ideation. But Oli London refused to admit that that was basically his de facto position. So we're going to watch how Ethan handled that. And as you're going to see, Oli London had no idea how to respond. So he just straight up shut down, and there was this long pause between the both of them that was very uncomfortable but incredible to watch.
You're denying them life-saving gender-affirming care.
No, I'm saying give the kids mental health support.
Yeah, you're saying use this avenue that doesn't work, that's not going to work to prevent you from killing yourself. You're telling them you cannot have the antidote that's going to save your life. You can only do the therapy that I approve of. You can only do the therapy that I say is okay for you, Oli. You went through this whole gender transition. Why do you deny people the journey that you yourself had?
Because I had that journey as an adult, and even though I regret it, I was an adult. But kids cannot consent. So I'll say it again:
kids can't consent to anything. Kids can't consent to anything.
But Ethan, this is irreversible. We're not just
no,
talking
it's
about
not.
Something...
Sometimes it's not. Most of the times it is irreversible. And when it's not reversible, it's done under extreme care, under doctor supervision. You want this kid to kill themselves, Oli. How do you live with that? How do you betray the community, the trans community that you're a part of? You sold yourself out for some attention and some money, and you are dooming kids to kill themselves. How do you live with that? Before it was cute, silly stuff about transracial and PTS and pop stuff, and it was just silly nonsense about little racist stuff about Korean people having tiny penises. But now you're actually delving into transphobic, violent transphobia that is going to result in kids dying. You're going to have to reckon with that, Oli.
No, absolutely not. You're trying to paint me out as saying this.
I'm only
trying
saying
to say
what you
kids
said.
Cannot consent. No, Ethan.
Kids
I'm not
can't
saying
consent to anything.
Kids cannot consent to irreversible hormones or surgeries, Ethan.
Okay, a kid needs to get his leg removed because he has leg cancer. Should he be able to get the leg removed?
Well, if he has a cancer, yes.
Okay, so what's the fucking difference? He can't consent to have his leg removed. That's irreversible.
They made $2.2 billion transitioning kids last year, so it's a multi-billion-dollar industry with a lot of powerful.
So people make money from it. So therefore, we shouldn't let kids save their lives.
No, you can provide. I'm not going to keep going on about this same thing. You can provide kids with the right mental health support that doesn't include putting them on harmful hormones that can cause irreversible issues. And when they
you're right, we should make it free. You're right. People shouldn't be charged for it. No,
I'm just not going to keep going on about the same thing, Ethan. I need to go anyway. It's quite late.
That line about free healthcare was just, that was the cherry on top for me. Now, Ethan, during that clip that we just watched, he made a point about Oli London selling out his own community for attention. And I want to actually play the clip because it came up before that, right, where he makes this point, and he made a very, very strong argument as to how this is actually nothing more than a grift for Oli London, especially considering how quick the turnaround was. So let's watch that.
I don't want to diagnose you. I'm not a psychiatrist, but there is some craving for attention, clearly, right? Good or bad. I mean, you said about like Korean, you said your pronouns were Korean, you said you were going to get your penis size reduced so that you could look more, you could be a more authentic Korean. I mean, these are not serious things. You seem to be a provocateur. Is it possible that you are participating in this right-wing grift because one, it's making you a lot of money, and two, it's getting you a lot of attention? Is that possible that you actually don't care and that your beliefs are empty? Is that possible?
No, absolutely not. So when I struggled with my identity for years, I generally was struggling and I was lashing out at bullies. And the more I would get bullied online by YouTubers and people on TikTok, the more I would act crazy because I was trying to feel validated and loved. And it was very unhealthy.
The conservative movement has offered you quite an open hand. They're very glad to be using you as a mouthpiece against trans people. So it must feel good to be being accepted from somebody, even if it is at the detriment of many people who are at risk, trans people. It must feel nice to have people supporting you. I want to show you this clip from an interview from Piers Morgan, okay?
Lots of pictures here of you as a woman. So how long ago was that? Was that quite recently?
That was actually at London Fashion Week, so that was literally a month ago, so kind of a drastic change.
So you went from trans woman at Fashion Week, a month later to being on Piers Morgan denouncing the trans movement. When you said take your time and talk and figure out who you are, that all happened within a month.
Yeah, that right there tells you everything you need to know. Ethan is right. Oli London is so desperate for attention that he is willing to do anything to get it, even if it means throwing his own community under the bus. See, he carved out this niche for himself, and it gave him exponentially more attention. Nobody's denying that this grift has been lucrative for him. It's been very successful. But to go from being trans to anti-trans within a month, and now you're publishing a book less than a year later, it all feels very inauthentic. In fact, I'd argue it's as fake as Oli London's Botox-filled face. Now, knowing he was thoroughly exposed, Oli London immediately complained about Ethan on Twitter, writing, "Tonight, I did an interview on the Far Left H3 podcast because I believe in the importance of educating people about what is going on in regards to the gender-affirming care industry, even if they are pro-gender-affirming care. Out of all the interviews I have ever done, this was the rudest and most unprofessional person I have ever spoken to. The whole time I was interrupted while the host tried to twist my words into my mouth, saying that because I'm against children being medically transitioned, that I support child suicide for not affirming their gender identity, and blaming me for children killing themselves, and then ending the interview, calling me a demon," which is true, by the way, and it was based, "absolutely below-the-belt interviewer who desperately tried to twist my words for clickbait and views. I believe in the importance of respecting others despite their opinions, and believe in the importance of having sensible and respectful debate, but sadly, this person has no idea what respect really means." And that, my friends, is what coping sounds like. And as you saw, he was ratioed by Ethan Klein, and it was just another L that Oli London took. But first of all, it is comical to describe Ethan as far left. He's center left at best. Second of all, this clown talks about respect when he spends all day harassing people on Twitter like Dylan Mulvaney, despite the fact that he claimed multiple times during his appearance on H3 that he doesn't have a problem with trans adults, but yet he sure is obsessed with people like Dylan Mulvaney who seem a lot happier than he is. You're a huckster, Oli, and you're not mad because Ethan Klein didn't respect you because you've shown to be a disrespectful cunt yourself. You're mad because Ethan Klein blew up your grift. Your grift imploded live in 4K, and you were exposed for the fraud that you really are, for the charlatan that you really are, and you're mad because now we have this podcast to point to that dismantled every single one of the lies that you've been telling for the past couple of months, and you hate that because you haven't been called on your bullshit until now, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to be destroyed by facts and logic, and you're currently coping and seething, but keep coping and seething because you're a fraud, and everyone is laughing at you. The left is laughing at you to your face, and the right is laughing at you behind your back. So they're going to use you as long as you are useful, perhaps until you move on to the next phase of your grift, where you denounce the right and write a book about how you were co-opted by the right and became a transphobe, but now you've forgiven yourself. But at the end of the day, everyone knows that you just want attention and nothing else, which is a reason for us to disregard every single word that ever comes out of your mouth again. So cope and seethe because you lost here, so just take the L and shut the fuck up.
Alpha male, not a beta male.